It was just past midnight when I heard it. My own voice, soft and raspy, calling me from beneath my bed. I froze because I was the only one in the room. I had just finished up my work on my laptop, which I closed before turning off the overhead light. I like to keep a dim bedside lamp on while I read or watched TV before going to sleep. But tonight, I felt like my usual wind-down routine would be best spent catching up on some journaling. So instead of bringing my laptop into bed with me, I propped open my window for a cross breeze and picked up my journal from the foot of my bed. I took a few minutes to write about everything I was grateful for today, including the quiet solitude of my new place. It was really the first time since moving in that I'd been here completely by myself. My roommates were visiting their families for the holiday weekend, so I decided to change into a comfy pair of flannel pants and an oversized t-shirt, then put on my favorite K-pop album and brush my teeth. After I splashed water up my gums and flossed between my teeth, I walked around the apartment to check all the locks, double-checking the front door. When I knew I was safe and sound, I returned to the bedroom. For a little while longer, I kept writing in my journal by the light of my window until the fire escape directly outside my room came on. Then I went to my desk to get my phone, placing it on airplane mode and hitting Do Not Disturb before returning to bed. This is where things got weird. As I reached under the bed for a fallen sock, I heard a whisper, one that sounded suspiciously like my name. Me? I didn't stop to listen for more because I wasn't sure I'd heard anything at all. Instead, I brought the sock back up to the surface with shaking hands, turned on the overhead light, and quickly scanned the area underneath with my flashlight. Only dust bunnies greeted me back. When I stepped away from the bed to go back to my journal, I told myself there was no way anyone could be hiding under there, and certainly no way they'd be whispering to me. I had a long list of possible explanations for how the sound might have happened. Mice often found themselves trapped under beds, as did various insects and other creepy crawlies that lived in the walls of older buildings. Maybe a stranger had gotten in through the fire escape and was playing some kind of cruel joke. Or maybe, just maybe, I was finally losing my mind. Either way, I couldn't bring myself to look under the bed again. So I reset the camera on my nightstand to record just for fun. And then I lied back down with a sigh. From my POV, the camera showed the shadow of the bed frame against the wall next to me, looking ordinary enough. I wasn't sure if I'd been imagining the whole thing, but when I pressed play, I could hear myself sleeping lightly. Then at 12:47 a.m., I heard it again. Mia. That time there was no mistaking it. The sound had come from right under my feet, and when I leaned forward to investigate, the bed skirt lifted slightly, as if something was trying to emerge from underneath. I gasped, knocking over the glass of water next to me as I tilted the camera upward, revealing two glowing eyes underneath the bed. They stared straight at me, and whoever or whatever they belonged to seemed to stare patiently. And now panic shot through me. I snatched up my phone from the charging brick on my nightstand, its screen illuminating the path toward the bed. The moment I stepped closer, the eyes vanished. I strained to see under the bed, grabbing whatever I could reach, pulling out a pile of clothes, my winter boots, and finally, a small, dusty old toy. It looked like a child's music box, intricately carved with swirling patterns and vines. Etched inside the lid was a name, Mia. I set it down on my nightstand and dialed 911, though I struggled to speak coherently. "What's your emergency?" The operator's voice snapped me out of my fear, and I explained what had happened, though I was surprised by how calm my voice sounded. All the while, the music box on my nightstand began to turn on its own. The clock chimed 12:55 a.m. and the last notes rang out. Then I heard it again. This time, the whispering wasn't coming from under the bed, but all around me. "Come play with me." A chorus of voices seemed to chant from within the walls. The sound was right behind me, too close. I dove for cover under the bed as the whispering grew louder, screeching as it followed me. "Come play with me." And with that, my vision went black. In the blink of an eye, I was lying face down on the floor with the camera still rolling. The recording showed nothing but dust bunnies, until suddenly a pair of eyes appeared on the screen, glowing like hot coals. The creature shifted, and my own terrified face filled the frame. I was only inches from the lens, and my mouth was open in a silent scream. Blood drained from my skin as I mouthed the words, "Oh my God." Then the screen went black, leaving only one whisper echoing in the silence. "Mia." Now let me explain. 10 years ago, this was the room of a young girl named Mia. It was also the last place she was ever seen alive. A missing persons poster hung on the wall next to my bed, its edges curling at the corners. The clipping below showed a smiling Mia, along with the headline, "Local girl vanishes without a trace." And even worse, the article stated that she'd last been seen in her room, having been heard singing along to one of her favorite K-pop songs. As I delved deeper into the mystery surrounding my apartment, I discovered news clippings that documented every day of Mia's disappearance. The police never found any signs of a struggle, and her parents never received any ransom demands. Her case went cold after the first year, leaving them with nothing but unanswered questions and hollow whispers. That's why when I heard scratching at the window, I thought it was the wind. I didn't turn to see the dark figure standing on the fire escape outside my room. I thought it was just another trick of my overactive imagination. But I should have listened to my gut, because when I saw the word Mia carved into the glass, I realized that whoever or whatever was outside wanted me to know that I wasn't alone. As the figure approached the window, I backed away, desperate to escape the room. But the door was locked. I tried to pry it open with my bare hands, screaming for help, but my cries were muffled by the walls. I pounded on the door, then slid down onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. The window shattered, and the figure slipped inside. It moved closer, revealing itself to be a ghastly specter with vacant eyes and skin as white as bone. Its lips curled into a grotesque smile. I huddled in the corner as the figure descended upon me, reaching out a hand to touch my cheek. But as it drew near, I noticed something strange. The music box on my nightstand began to chime, its cheerful melody filling the room. With a start, I realized that the music box hadn't stopped ringing when I ran to lock myself in the bathroom. I scrambled to my feet and raced back to the nightstand. Stopping the music seemed to stun the figure, causing it to recoil as if burned. I grabbed the music box and held it aloft, its cheerful tune driving the ghastly figure further and further away. It retreated toward the window, its form flickering like a candle flame in the wind. As the music swelled, the apparition cried out in anguish before vanishing into the night. The room fell silent, save for the persistent chime of the music box. Exhausted and trembling, I sank to the floor, letting the weight of the day wash over me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside the window made me jump. I longed for the comforting presence of my friends, wishing I hadn't been so foolish as to spend the night alone. As the first rays of sunlight peeked through the curtains, I felt a glimmer of hope. I was safe, at least for now. But the respite was short-lived. The peace of the morning was shattered by the sudden chime of the music box. I whirled around to see it winding itself up, its cheerful tune echoing through the room. With a surge of adrenaline, I lunged for the music box, desperate to silence its haunting melody. But it was too late. As the last note rang out, a chilling voice echoed through the room. "It's time to play, Mia." And with that, the ghostly figure materialized from the shadows, beckoning me toward the window. I recoiled in terror, stumbling backward until my back hit the bed. The music box lay abandoned on the floor, its melody fading into silence. I searched frantically for a weapon, my eyes settling on the heavy lamp on my knitstand. With a surge of strength, I hurled it at the approaching figure, but it passed straight through the apparition as if it were made of smoke. I screamed in terror as the ghost loomed closer, its icy fingers reaching for me. I struggled to escape, but it was too late. The ghost enveloped me in a bone-chilling cold, and I felt my life force draining away. "No," I whispered, my voice hoarse with fear. But my pleas were lost in the cavernous depths of the room. As the ghost dragged me toward the window, I caught one last glimpse of my reflection in the glass. My eyes were wide with terror, my face pale and lifeless. And in the depths of those vacant eyes, I saw the ghost of a smile playing upon my lips.